Welcome back to the Bleav in Jets podcast. My name is Rami Lavi, and across from me, former Jets running back, been a minute, Bilal Powell, BP. What's up?
What's going on, Rami? What's going on?
Yo, good to see you. And I know you guys are kicking some ass. You've been coaching football. You've been busy. So what was it? A 56-14 win? Couldn't get to 60. What happened?
We couldn't get this. The refs wouldn't allow us to get to 60. Flags started coming everywhere,
Freaking
backing
refs.
us up. Yeah.
I don't know. I personally wouldn't have tried to go for 60. You know, I would have been a good guy. I would have held off. You were up, 50 points. You couldn't like just, they're kids. Come on.
No, it wasn't that. It was just we were running the ball and they just couldn't stop what we were doing. They put in their young guys, we put in our young guys. I guess we were just a better team. We had a good scheme. It was my first victory as a coach. So, I was excited about that one.
There's nothing more devastating as a defense, right? There can't be anything more devastating than the opponent just lining up and running the ball down your throat over and over and over again. You can't stop it.
That's the worst. I would rather a team pick us apart in the pass game than to just line up and just run the football. That's like the most manipulating thing you can do. You're talking about ripping the pride out of a team is just run the ball. And
it's like
that's
the Packers.
Yeah.
The Packers and the Cowboys last year in the playoffs. The Packers just lined up and said, our O-line's better than your D-line. We're going to out-physical you and run the ball right down your damn throat. And guess what? The Cowboys never adjusted. And that was it. That was the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the run game is it's vital to the game today. I know that it has switched to 60-40 pass run ratio, but the run game is still vital. It opens up so many different things for the offense. And if you're able to just line up and run the football, you're talking about time of possession. You're talking about time of possession. You're talking about not having to dig deep into your game plan.
With the Jets having, and we'll get into the Jets in a little bit, but Braylon Allen and Breece Hall, a two-headed monster, and a revamped offensive line, I think they should run their offense through Breece Hall. Line up, run the ball down the field. Late in game, you need one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, Aaron Rodgers, to make a few decisions here and there, keep him fresh, keep him upright, keep him healthy for late in game. They should be running the ball down teams' throats. I think Breece Hall might be the best running back in football this year.
I think so too, and I think we possibly have the best number 2 back in the league as well.
Yeah,
I saw a few clips of him. The big back, fast, very explosive. He's a guy that you can put in as a change of pace guy. He has good hands out of the backfield, and he can go the distance at any time. He can go the distance at anywhere on the field. This guy can go to the house, man. And he's a guy that I feel like he's going to always fall forward on his runs, and he's going to be a back that's able to keep you ahead of the chains.
Yeah, and you can speak from experience on this, the change of pace guy coming in and changing things up, whether it was Ivory, whether it was someone else, and then you come in, you can stretch the field, you're willing to take a block, you can also catch the ball out of the backfield, right? So how much does that change a defense where now, you got this bruiser and Chris Ivory bruising them over and over again, and now here comes Bilal, and we got to keep up with him in the pass game?
I think it allows us to do, find a mismatch with a running back on the linebacker, or sometimes the safety even time to rotate down, creating a one high. Now, when you create a one high, you have one-on-ones outside, and now you got Aaron Decker on the side, and you got Brandon Marshall. That was just hard to stop. And then when I got in, you couldn't load the box because I was a guy that was able to get out and catch balls and out of the backfield. And then when you come in as a light box trying to prepare for the run, you had Chris Ivory. I mean, I saw this guy like play out the play, defend 8-9 man boxes. That's very hard to stop.
And I think that's what people don't realize about Breece last year. They put 10 guys in the box because they're like, okay, we'll double team Garrett Wilson, put 9 guys in the box. We know that the quarterback, Zach Wilson, can't beat us. So 2 guys on Garrett, 9 guys in the box, and Breece still had 1,000. He was incredible last year.
He was, and that is hard to do. I don't think people understand that. When you're talking about an 8-9 man box, that means that there's 9 to 8 guys accountable for gaps in the run game. We're talking about the run box, okay? Tackle to tackle. If you have 2 tight ends, tight end and tight end, that's 8 gaps. That's 9 gap responsibilities. There's absolutely nowhere to go. So for a guy like Breece Hall to have the yards and the production that he had last year, running in those type of boxes, just lets you know what type of back that we have in our hands right now in New York.
Yeah, I could tell you're locked in. I know your wife posted the video online of you going through. So how often does this happen where you guys are out to eat somewhere and you're just, doing film review while you guys are out to eat?
That's every day, Rami.
Yeah.
And when I think she posted it and she tagged me and I saw it. That was the opponent next week. Like that's
Right.
preparation for the opponent next week. I was already pretty much done with the opponent this week, so I started ahead of the game, preparing for next week. That's just what I do, man. It's just
That's awesome.
ongoing. My mind never stops thinking about it. I want to put our players in the best position to win and be successful.
It's always about football, dude. And, wives and girlfriends around the country now this week. This is the week where they find out. They're like, uh-oh, that's it. It's over. Thursday already. That's it.
I'm blessed because my wife loves football. So,
Right. That's true.
she will shut her entire Friday night, Saturdays, Sundays down to watch some football. So, I lucked up and got a lady that loves football and understands football. So that was like a double
A
thing
two
for
for
me.
one. That's
Yes,
pretty good. Speaking
absolutely.
of, though, I got to ask you about this. I had a situation yesterday. I got in the shower yesterday morning, and there was a spider crawling. It's like I'm getting up to go to work. So what did I do? I took the shower head, turned on the water, killed that little thing, and drained it down the drain. That's what I did. It's a spider in my shower. Now, let me tell you, if my wife was in that shower and she saw a spider, what do you think would have happened?
Oh, she would have
She would have,
screamed.
yeah, she would have come
You would
yelling.
you probably would have
Yeah,
thought it was a dude like hiding behind the shower curtain or
right.
something.
I would have thought someone died. Like, what are we doing here? What would have happened in your house? Because, like, for me, like, I even mentioned it to her. I just killed the thing, shoved it down the drain, and that was it.
Oh man, my wife is. I think she's completely opposite. You probably get her like a scare or a scream or something, but she's gonna kill that thing. Listen, she does not
No,
like
you are
bugs or
blessed.
anything like that. So, I mean, listen, she don't like them flying around, but she would rather kill them than like kill herself trying to get away from it. So, I kind of lucked up on that part too as well.
All right. So a couple other things because I got to meet your guy Willie Colon this week, right? Uh, and well, no, I met him a couple weeks ago when he filled in for Boomer a couple weeks ago. Then again this week he filled in for Boomer, but he's getting more comfortable at WFAN, and so more stories are coming out. Bro, this guy's eating habits are whack. This guy, I mean, he is awesome. I love him. But the weirdest thing about him, and we'll get into a couple of stories from games that you played in with him. But the weirdest thing is he said he never wore socks because he thought his feet would get sweaty and he'd slip. So he never wore socks. Even when he was wearing his cleats playing football, he never wore socks. First of all, we got to get him on the pod to defend himself. But second of all, how rancid was it in that locker room around Willie Colon?
Well, Willie was actually my locker mate.
What?
So, yeah, Willie was my locker mate. I was between Willie Colon and the Brickashaw Ferguson.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, and Willie didn't wear socks. I never understood it. I'm like, man, I'm thinking about blisters. I'm thinking about fungus. I'm thinking about odor. He just never wore socks. I never seen this guy put a pair of socks on. And Willie, listen, Willie has I think he wears like a size 16, 17.
He's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a small dude. I stood next to him. I felt tiny next to
Yeah.
him.
So I think, so here I am, I'm a neat guy, and Willie, he I get him on the show to defend himself about that. All right. But man, I just see these huge. I mean, I'm tripping over shoes trying to get to the shower, man, like size 16 shoes. But I never seen this guy put on socks, and I never understood it.
He still doesn't. He's like, no, they're not for me. I don't get it. Not for
So,
him.
I mean, certain shoes, certain styles I go for. I'm a no socks guy. But football, I'm a sock guy. But then you have the guys who double up socks.
Yeah.
I never understood that. Now that's when the feet start sliding in the cleats when you double up socks.
Yeah.
Guys did that, but I never understood that. But yeah, I got to put on my socks. I'm sorry.
I'm with you on that. I gotta wear socks, even if they're like, if I'm wearing a nice shoe and I don't want the socks to show, I'll wear no-show socks. Those slip socks.
Yeah.
But you got to have something on your feet. I can only imagine Boomer walking into that studio on Monday morning and smelling the stench from Willie's socks from this week. That's going to
Well,
be
he don't
fun.
wear socks, so it won't be
Yeah,
from the socks.
well, I guess it'll be from his feet. Oh man. All right. The other thing was he told two stories. One was he took a penalty in a game that he was not in because he was on the sideline and he was yelling at a ref from a game that he was injured in. He was supposed to be up in the box, and they called a penalty.
Talking about the Giants game.
The Giants game. Very next play. You know what happened?
Yeah, the Giants game. I
You took it
remember
to
that.
the house though, right after.
Yeah,
You
I
bailed him
did.
out.
And Todd was so mad at Willie.
Yeah.
Because it was like third down, and he's on the sideline just going at it. And listen, I don't think people realize Willie's a real New Yorker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a real New Yorker. So like he got the whole accent, the attitude, everything. So here it is going at it. And Willie's a dog, man. He's always been a dog. He's always been about the team. And he was that teammate that like, hey, listen, get off my boy, man. Do this, and you were gonna do this. And I think he was just in that game mode. He loved the game so much, and it almost cost us a scoring possession. Luckily, Chan actually, listen, that wasn't the original play called on that touchdown. Chan Gailey had to change the call because we got moved back because of the penalty.
Right.
So originally, I think it was supposed to be some kind of pass concept that, we were trying to get Decker going in motion, trying to figure out man-to-man versus zone in that situation. Then we got that penalty. So Chan Gailey actually switched the play and called that play
out and up.
Yeah. So I ran the tunnel screen and it ended up working. And, we didn't hear anything about it after that. So
no, I'm sure.
I think Willie owes me lunch for that one because I think I saved him.
Yeah, at least owes you a time to come on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But the other thing he told was Geno's rookie year. You're driving down the field in New England to try and tie or win the game, and Geno throws a pick. And Willie and Brick also, they both get into a fight after the game, or after the play. And Willie said it was 6 seconds left in the game, and Belichick calls over the ref and goes, hey, those guys were fighting. They need to be kicked out of the game. So Willie, who does an incredible Rex imitation, by the way, I don't know if you knew this about him. He does a Rex imitation. He comes over and he's like, hey, guys, I got to get you out. It's not, I don't want to kick you out of the game, but, there's – and Willie's like, there's 6 seconds left. What are we doing? Why are you kicking me out? He's like, nah, man, Bill's not going to restart the game until you guys go. And that's just the pettiness of Bill Belichick. It's why the Jets got to beat him. Man, you remember that play too?
I do remember. It was on their sideline. Something happened. I wasn't sure what happened. I Bleav I was injured, so I wasn't even at the game. I was watching on TV. I was back in the facility getting treatment, and I just see this like, I wouldn't say a brawl, but some kind of like, altercation
Scuffle
going on, and some chirping and some shoving and pushing, which is football. And I just see Willie. I see the Brickashaw Ferguson. And you know how it is, man. That's a heated rivalry. Like we don't like the Patriots. I still have an issue with the Patriots, honestly.
I'm telling you.
To be honest with you. But yeah, I remember that, man. And like I said, Willie's he's a New Yorker, dog. So he's always going to be chirping. He's always going to be physical. He's a dog. He's the O-lineman that every offensive guy or coordinator, running back, anybody would want on their team.
Speaking of Rex Ryan, he went on and said this week that he thinks the Jets are going to the Super Bowl this year. He believes in this team. He thinks the Jets have a shot to make it to the Super Bowl.
Rex said that?
Rex said that. I know.
What?
I know.
Then I believe it. I believe in Jets. Believe in Jets.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I was saying on last episode, like I feel like this is the year you have to believe, because if not now, then when?
When?
Like I'm sorry, it terrifies me to believe in this team, because I know, and this is something else Willie said, and I don't know if you've ever felt this, but he said when he first came to the Jets, he's like, come on, it's ridiculous. This team isn't cursed. He's like, after Geno got punched in the face, he's like, okay, maybe this team is cursed. He's like, this only happens to the Jets. Like, this doesn't happen.
Geno got punched, but then Fitzpatrick came and we ran the table. So maybe it was a blessing and a curse.
You ran the table until you got to Buffalo.
Yeah. I was hurt. I tried to play. So
yeah. I know. You and Ivory both should have played. Whatever. There's a lot that happened in that game.
Hopefully we're past that this year, though. Hopefully, if Rhett says it, I think we're past it.
At any point when you played for the Jets, do you feel the team was cursed?
Yeah, man. I was just like, how only us. Like it always seemed like the ball never like bounced our way. Like if you took a football, there
Mm-hmm.
was like there's no prediction of where that ball's gonna bounce around. But I always felt like if we dropped the ball, it was gonna go the other way, the opposite way. Like it was to a point that I sat on the sideline sometimes and I'm like, only that would happen to us.
Yeah.
Like, how can they convert a 3rd and 21, a 3rd and
Yeah.
25? Like, we never did that. Like,
And
how can
see,
the damn like
that's
how
the
can the
part that
ball bounce off
sucks.
the goalpost and just go in? Now they win. Like, I don't know.
That's the part that sucks because to me, the you know, like I'm saying, if you're a player who comes from Louisville, you don't know the Jets, right? You didn't grow up in New York. You played your college football at Louisville. Like, you should come in with a fresh mindset like, hey, I don't have this baggage. I get the fan base has the baggage, but I don't have it. But then the fans start believing it. They start buying it like, oh, maybe we are cursed. Like, the players themselves start buying it. That's got to be a terrible way to play football.
Well, honestly, when I came in, we had just they
Back to
had
back
just came,
championship
yeah,
games.
back to
Yeah.
back championships. So I'm thinking I'm coming into a winning culture, and I'm about to win a lot of games in New York, and I'm just happy to be here because honestly, I wanted to be in New York. Like, if you asked, I wanted to be in New York
Yeah.
at the time when I did all of my visits, when you know all the combines, all the interviews, I was like, man, I want to play for the New York Jets. I want to play for Rex Ryan. So when I got a chance to play, and we were coming off in 2 consecutive AFC Championship games that I think we should have won and been playing in a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Here I am thinking
definitely.
like, oh, I'm coming into a winning culture. Like LaDainian Thomason is on his way out. I'm going to step into this thing. I'm going to take on this role, and
Mm-hmm.
it didn't work out. And I just saw a team that was stacked, a team full of veterans, a team that like guys really love football. And it was just like unpredictable each week. It was just like a roller coaster. And then I
Oh,
remember
man.
one year where we'll win one, lose one, win one, lose one. It was just back and forth. And then just toward the end of the season, we lost like 2 in a row, and it put us out of the playoffs. There for a minute. At the first 8 weeks, we won, lost, and we ended up 4-4 at the half of it, halfway through the year. And then it just continued to go. And then next thing you know, we lost 2. And it just like put us on the back burner where we have to depend on so many scenarios to get, I felt like there was always a scenario for us to get into the playoffs. It wasn't like my entire career, we were out of the playoffs early in the season. It
Right.
was
No, yeah.
always like the middle to the end where we needed to win the
You
games
had a
that we needed to
chance and
win,
you couldn't win those
and we
big
didn't.
games.
And we
Yeah.
couldn't. And then we got to a point where we were always sitting around waiting on the TV for this team to lose, or that team needs to win, or this team needs to tie every year. And I'm just like, man, what's going on? Like, why can't we win the games that we should be winning? Why can't we beat the
Yeah.
Browns? When
Right.
the Browns were the Browns, like they
Yeah.
won the Browns that are, that has the good
Yeah.
defense, or
Yeah.
it was the Browns where, hey, you expect to go in and score 35 points, and we didn't do it. It was when Buffalo was Buffalo. Like, Buffalo was not winning at this time. Why could we not go in and just sweep the Buffalo Bills? Why do we have to split 1-1? Like, why can't we
Yeah.
just get them out the way?
I'm 100% with you, man. Tell me about it. As a fan, it sucks, but this year's going to be different, right? At
I
least
think
right
so.
now. You know what? I can't predict the future, but today there's no point in being pessimistic. Like, cautiously optimistic. Like, it terrifies me that I think the Jets could be good this year because, when you have high expectations, that's when it could go bad. But let's go through the schedule real quick. And talk about some of these games. We don't have to go game by game, do win-loss, but kind of like an overall, what do we think the record could be?
Okay.
So, they start a week from Monday on Monday Night Football against the NFC champs, who just re-signed Brandon Ayuk. I don't know if you saw that contract. Ayuk got, so he's going to be there. Trent Brown might not be there, right? Because he's still holding out. But it's Monday Night Football in San Francisco. It's so funny. Like, are they trying to get Aaron Rodgers killed on the first play of the the first game of the year against that defense?
Hey, listen, I think it's going to be a good game because
Do you
I
think the
think.
Jets win it?
Let me think.
I'm writing this down. This is it. This is set in stone.
And you know,
Rami.
I usually go with the Jets. If it's going to be a game that we need to lose, just go ahead and lose this one.
Yeah, I agree. I
You
think
know,
they'll lose. I think just
play it
play a good
close,
game.
play
Yeah.
a good game. You know, showcase on a national stage Monday night. Aaron Rodgers get out healthy,
Mm-hmm.
and then just move on. Like
Yeah.
you got Tennessee the following week, right? With a rookie
Yep.
quarterback, right? Head
Well, it's
coach,
a second-year
head
quarterback,
coach,
rookie head coach. Yeah.
rookie head coach, and then you go to New England, who I don't think with a new coaching change. Like I think, okay, just if there's a game that we need to lose, go ahead and lose the San Francisco game, and then let's break this thing down quarterly. San Francisco, Tennessee, New England, Denver. Denver has a
Yep.
rookie quarterback.
Yep.
Go 3-1. Go 3-1 in the first quarter, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. In one of those games being a divisional game, so let's be number one in the division.
Yeah.
By week 5, going into week 5.
Yeah, I think with those 4 games, I'm with you. I don't expect to win week 1, and I do expect to win Thursday night football at home against New England. I do expect to win Sunday on 10 days rest against the rookie quarterback against Denver. What scares me is week 2. I think week 2, because think about it, Bilal. You know this better than anyone. They have to come home after playing a Monday night game in San Francisco. They have to come home on a Tuesday, prep for 2 game plans, right? Because they got to prep for Tennessee and for the Thursday night game afterwards, right?
Yep.
And so now they have to prep for 2 game plans, and they have one less day because they played on a Monday night, and then they got to go travel back to Tennessee to play that game. And rookie head coaches in their home debut have some kind of crazy record. I think the Jets are going to be 0-2. I really do. Ooh, I think they're going to be 0-2 to start, and then it's fine. It's not a big deal. I think they're going to be 2-2 after 4 games, though. You want to break it down quarterly? I think 2-2 after 4.
I just don't see them going to Tennessee losing to that team. Not without a Derrick Henry.
Yeah, no, it's true. You're going to be there, right?
Now with this defense, like now without a Derrick Henry, like I just don't see a young quarterback, you know, Will Levis, who is a UK guy, which, you know, I'm not going to be biased, but I just don't see him winning against that defense without Derrick Henry.
All right. So then after that, let's go to the next 4. They go to London for the London game. You know about that travel. They're not taking the bye week after the London game, but they have an extra day because they play Monday night afterwards. By the way, they're going to play against Sam Darnold, your former teammate in London. And then they come home Monday Night Football against Buffalo, which is basically the repeat of last year, right? Like that's the repeat of the home opener. Sunday Night Football in Pittsburgh. It's a shorter week, but I don't trust that quarterback. And then this tells you how bad New England is. They're playing New England twice in the first 8 weeks. They go to New England for 1 o'clock.
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. Get it over with.
Get it over.
So what do you think they could do in those next 4 games?
Those next 4 games, I like the London game. I think that's going to be cool for them versus Sam Darnold. I like Sam. Sam's my dude. But again, this defense, like Minnesota does not scare me. And Kevin O'Connell is my guy over in Minnesota. Play with Kevin. Respect Kevin. And I played with Kevin my rookie year. We played 1 year together here in New York. I respect him, everything he's doing. I just don't think they're ready to beat New York. I don't think they're ready because their starting quarterback, the guy that they thought was going to be their starting quarterback, is out for the season.
No, it's true. JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, so now you have to depend on a guy that you didn't trust. And then coming back home, that Buffalo game Monday night scares me coming from a London's game. I mean, this is pretty late to play Buffalo. I'm used to playing Buffalo week 2. You know,
right?
But you get some oil on the chain with playing a divisional game. You know, you go in. I say we be number 1 in the division by that time. It's gonna be a hot game, a revenge game, and I just think we can score it out of there. I mean, Buffalo got rid of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
like, I just don't think defensively. I don't think they can do anything with us.
And then Pittsburgh and New England. You think they win both of those also?
I mean, I still think they don't even understand or realize who their starting quarterback is right now. think their
Pittsburgh,
plan is to
yeah.
play two different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like
No, it's
that's
ridiculous.
to me, like that's
If
college
you have
stuff.
two quarterback, you have no quarterbacks, right?
That you have no quarterback. So
Yeah.
that game does not scare me at all. Sunday night football prime time. Like, I mean, look at all the prime time games.
By
That's
the way,
4
7
primetime
of the
games and what? No, I would say 5 because the London's game going to be the only game.
yeah,
It's going to be early
7
a.m.
of the
game.
first 11 games. 7 of the first 11 games are prime time if you include London.
Yes, and listen, that lets you know that everyone is. I think they're thinking the same thing we're thinking.
The Jets are going to be good.
They're going to be good, and they want to showcase it.
Yeah. So you think that they go 4-0 in that stretch?
I think so.
I think they drop one. I think again, I'm not. I don't know
who do they
which
drop
one.
to?
I don't know, but it's just tough to win that many games in a row with 2 primetime games in there. I mean, 3 primetime games if you include London, right? It's 3 primetime games. You have to travel to Pittsburgh, traveling to New England. I know New England's not good. I don't think they'll lose that game. But I just think, maybe Monday night against Buffalo at home, they just drop that.
If that's the one you're going to lose it, because then you come back and play a New England where you still through 8 weeks, you're still 2-1 in the division.
Yeah, for sure.
Only 2 losses. So,
but you think 7-1? You think 7-1 after 8 games?
I say 8-2. I say 8. I'm sorry. I'm 6-2.
6-1
in the division. 6-2. 2-1 in the division.
So you think 6-2. So also that Buffalo game. So I have them at 5-3. You have them at 6-2.
Okay.
Let's
Who
move
else
on.
do you have them losing to? Tennessee
and Buffalo. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And I'm not like saying it's set in stone that those are going to be the games they lose. But when I look at those first 8 games, I think 5-3, 2-1 in division, like you said, I think that's what the record will be.
Yeah.
All right. Week 9, Thursday night football again. So another short week for them. Coming off that Sunday, another primetime game. CJ Stroud year 2. They're home though. Home for Thursday night football. Short week against Houston. I think the league has film. They have but then now they got tape on Stroud, right? Like year 2, it's a little tough. The league knows. You took the league by storm last year. You had a light schedule last year. I think that's a manageable game. And if you want to go the next couple of games, they have Arizona with the 10 days rest. They have to travel out to Arizona, but they have the extra time after Thursday night. Arizona, I think, is a mess. And then Sunday night football, home against Indianapolis, their 7th primetime game. Year 2 also for Anthony Richardson. I think they sweep those 3 games. I'll tell you right now. Mm-hmm. Going into the bye, I think they win 3 in a row.
Well, I'm looking at week 9, and I'm thinking about Thursday night football versus Houston. A young, talented offense. That's gonna be the X factor. Our defense versus their offense.
Yeah.
You're talking about our DBs versus their receivers. They have a strong receiving, wide receiver core. They do. And they have a very talented quarterback who can make every throw. I think he's really coming into himself. Like he's a student of the game. If you listen to him talk in his interviews, if you hear what he, his thought process through his film study and just analyzing the game, he is coming into his own. And now you add,
sure.
Stephon
Diggs. Sent me that video of him breaking down the play, without even looking at it from last year. And you're like, yo, this guy's got it. It was like one of his first weeks.
I mean, that's one of the things that you have to understand, that at this level of football, the game is not the snap. The play is not won when the ball is in your hand. Mm-hmm. It is won pre-snap. You have to almost know where you're going with the ball before it happens, because there's so much disguise that the defense is doing at the next level. I don't think people realize the importance of the hashes. See, in college and high school, the hashes are wider. So you can see a lot of things coming, but with the narrow hashes in the NFL, blitzes can come from both ways. So you have to understand the rotation of safety. What this safety's doing, and if he rotates this way, where's the pressure coming? Like, you have to understand those type of things.
So what do you think after those 3 games? Do you think they drop the Houston game?
I think it'll be a close one. I would say year 2, Stroud, wide receiver core.
Yeah, they got Diggs over there now.
Oh man,
Tank Dell.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
All right, so we'll count it as a loss. If you don't want to say it, I'll say it for you. But Arizona and San Francisco, what do you think?
Arizona, we win. Indy, we win.
All right, so I think we have the same thing. 8-3 after going into the bye week.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're 8-3,
which is great position.
11 weeks going into the bye, 8-3. Do you like the late bye, and by the way, they have 10 days of rest, right? They have 2 extra rest games. They do have a ton of travel because they're going to the west side twice, right? They have to go to Arizona, they have to go to San Francisco, so that's flying all the way out west twice, and they have to go to London out east, pretty far. So it's a lot of travel in the first 11 weeks, and then you get a late bye. Maybe Rodgers can recover after, gets 2 extra, like I said, 2 10 mini buys, right? With the 10 days after Thursday night games. Do you like the late buy or prefer the early buy?
I like the late buy. I never, I remember when we did play in London, we had the early buy in week 5, and then it's just a long stretch. Like, you would rather go ahead and knock out that run, and depending on those few days when you're talking about Thursday night football, those few days that you get off in between the next game, and go into week 12 with a bye week, and then say, hey, this is where we're sitting. You have all these scenarios. You can break it down to where, hey, this is where we're sitting statistically in the NFL from a performance standpoint, and this is where we're sitting for the playoffs. And then you can just give yourself that last quarter of like, hey, let's go all out. All right, this is the run that we need, and it's laid out before us. You're talking about now. That's going to be a tough one, coming off the bottom.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get to the post bye in a second. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get to the rest of the Jets schedule.
Yeah.
All right. Coming off the bye week. All right. The Jets have home against Seattle. Geno Smith has returned to MetLife. Geno is going to want some revenge. And then, so the 4 games, tough, like you said. Miami in Miami, hot weather. This team, we know what they do at home, with Waddle and Tyreek. I do like that they're not playing them till later in the year, because maybe, I don't wish injury on anyone, but, Tua's had a hard time staying healthy. Maybe later in the year, he's not as healthy as he was early in the year. So maybe you catch a break with that. And then at Jacksonville, do you think they stay in Florida? They have back-to-back games in Florida a week apart. Do you think the Jets stay down there?
No, I don't think so.
They'll come home.
They'll come home.
Okay. Yeah. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a huge year. They were 8-3 when Trevor Lawrence was healthy last year. Like, people forget, like, Jacksonville stunk last year. True, but they were 8-3 when Lawrence was healthy. And then the Rams. So that's 4 games. Home against the Rams, who, I don't know if they're a good team, but with McVay and Stafford, they're always competitive, at least, So 4 games. Seattle, in Miami, in Jacksonville, home against the Rams. What do you think they do in those 4 games? I think they go 2-2.
2-2. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same exact thing, and I do think that we can get by Seattle, and I do think that we could. Man, that week 14 Miami game is going to be tough.
It's tough. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough game. You're talking about, let's be honest, man. You're talking about going down to Miami where it's going to be hot, humid. You're not going to be used to it. It's going to be a tough game. They always play tough down there too, man, when it's heat.
And maybe by the time they get to Jacksonville, it's actually, because they played in the heat the previous week, it's like, okay, we're better prepared for this now in Jacksonville the following week.
Yeah, and hopefully they are prepared, because I would like to see them go 2-2, week 13 through week 16.
Yeah, I think week 13 through 16, a little bit, coming off the bye, not as great. 2-2, which is fine, because that sets you up. We both have it now, setting them up to go into the last 2 weeks of the year, both division games in Buffalo and home Miami at 10-5. If the Jets are 10-5 going into the last 2 weeks of the year, and if you look at those 2 games, Buffalo and Miami, those are the 2 teams you're going to be fighting for in the division. They're going to have a chance to win the division. Going into the last 2 weeks of the year, 10-5. That's all I care about. That's all I could ask for as a Jets fan, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's very tough, because you go week 17 in Buffalo, could be a possible snow game, some weather.
Yeah, could
be. And then you turn around, and then you got Miami, who is down there in the humidity, and then they have
to come up to New York. Look how bad Miami looked last year.
Yes.
Right
So,
when they played in Kansas City in the playoffs, they looked like shit. Like,
yeah.
I trust the Jets in that game.
Listen, and listen, Aaron Rodgers lived for that Buffalo weather. He's not worried
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
he played in Green Bay.
Yeah, he's not worried about that. So, and I think at that time, our run game is going to be so strong. Like, who's going to want to
Oh yeah.
tackle our running backs in that cold weather? Who's going to want to do it? All right. So I
I think
just
they
see
could end
that
the.
we winning that one. I
And
think
then
so.
you think they win back to back to end the year?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be tough for Miami to come and
So
and and not be able to pass the ball around like they want to do. Coach McDaniels wants to do. They have to rely on the
mhm.
run game, and I just believe in the defense. And I think when they smell playoffs, they're going to have a playoff attitude that if they get in, they know they're going to be the team to beat. No
I
one
love
is
it,
going to
dude.
want to play New York if they get into the playoffs.
You know what's interesting? The line in Vegas is 9.5 over under wins, but the Jets are favored to win the division.
Mm.
I think it's so. I think not. Of course, they're going to win over 9.5 games. Like, if Rodgers is healthy, I think the Jets get 11 or 12 wins. You have them at 12. I think 11. I think one of those that we talked about, maybe they drop one in there. I'm not sure where it's going to be. I think 11-6, and that's good enough to make the playoffs. I don't know if it's good enough to win the division. 12-5 probably is good enough to win the division. I think Buffalo, like you said, losing some of their players takes a step back. Last time we saw Miami, I know they're a great team in the heat and in the regular season. They stunk last year in Kansas City.
Hey,
So
listen, I do think that we'll split the series with Buffalo, Miami. We'll go 1-1, and we'll sweep New England, and that'll put us in a good situation to get into the playoffs. But my question to you, and
yeah,
I want to know
4-2 in the
this.
division's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sorry. Where we know where the defense is statistically. You're talking
Yeah.
about top 5 the last 3 years. Where does the offense with a healthy Aaron Rodgers? Where does the New York Jets finish statistically all in offense?
Well, this is what I think. I think if the offensive line is healthy and Aaron Rodgers plays 15 games, he doesn't even need to play all 17. He can miss a couple. We could live with Tyrod. If he plays 14 to 15 games and those games late in the year, that back half of the schedule, when the schedule gets tough, he's healthy for those, right? I think the Jets will have the number 1 rushing offense in the league. I really do. I think they're going to be the best running team in the league. And I think they'll be a top 7 passing offense. I think they don't need to be. If they're top 10 passing and number 1 running, nobody wants to face them in the playoffs, because how do those Rex teams win? Ground and pound, baby. Ground and pound, right?
Ground and pound,
Play tough
pound,
defense,
great
run the ball
defense,
hard.
and special teams still being in
Yeah.
the top 10. Like,
Yeah.
our special teams is, we're
Brant
talking
Boyer's
about
still there.
That's still there. We got our specialists back, our MVPs from last year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
So that's all
Tom and
important.
Greg, baby. The
Yeah,
disgusting
that's all
brothers. Those guys
important.
are the best. Yeah. I mean, those guys literally carry the team. They were the team MVPs last year, like you said. So I think I'm with you 1,000%. And this was it was actually from Gary Myers. I forget who he works for, but he was the one who wrote. I was talking yesterday to former Jets coach Rex Ryan. As usual, it was Rex Unplugged. He's picking the Jets to end their 56-year drought and finally win their second Super Bowl. I think this is the year for the Jets. I really do. I'm picking them to go all the way. Who do you fear? He made it seem like the AFC East was already been won, even though the Jets hadn't won it since 2002. Bills, Buffalo is not even close to what they've been. Dolphins, they lost a lot of good players on defense. I mean, I don't think they're going to be that good. Patriots, certainly. New England sucks. I love that Rex said that. He said, summing up the Jets, and you got Aaron Rodgers, albeit at 100 years old, but I mean, that team is locked. They're fucking loaded. I speak for all of us who were around the Ryan when he coached the Jets, right? This is what Gary Myers is saying. They just don't make them like him anymore. The best part is he would have said the same stuff whether he was coaching or on TV like he is now. So that's Rex Unplugged for you. And if you look at the AFC, I mentioned Jacksonville. I think they could be good. Baltimore, he's never done it in the playoffs. I love Lamar, but he's never done it in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at some point, you got to prove it in the playoffs. Joe Burrow's got an injury history, and they still haven't paid Jamar Chase. Like, what's going on there? Kansas City is great. I love Kansas City. I think they'll be great. I have nothing with them. I can't say anything about them. Like Rex said, I think Buffalo and Miami took a step back from last year. I think all the Jets have to do is if that defense can beat Patrick Mahomes, they could go to a Super Bowl. They could go to an AFC championship game. What do you think the ceiling is for the Jets this year? You already have them at 11 or 12 wins.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're going to, like I said, I think this team reminds me a lot of the 2015 team. But I just think at the quarterback position, they're a lot better. Mm-hmm. They're a lot better. We had the 1-2 punch. They got the 1-2 punch. Yep. I think they got a good receiving core. You talk about tight ends, receiving tight ends.
Tyler Conklin.
So the Malachi Curley guy, like,
Aaron
Rodgers lives on the quick screens.
Yep.
And this kid can do that. That's what he did in college. So there's so much complimentary like to this offense. And the O-line is probably the best it's been in years.
For
healthy.
Sure.
I think we can make that run. And you're talking about our defense that even if we do make mistakes from an offensive standpoint, that they can go in and make a stand. They can make a stand. Even if we give up 3, I feel like now in the red zone, we can really relax and be like, okay, we can expect touchdowns in the red zone this year.
Yeah.
And that's what we lacked last year. Not that we didn't get to the red zone, is that when we got to the red zone, we were kicking field goals.
Sometimes we were turning other teams over and getting into the red zone that way.
Get into the red zone. We just couldn't
kick a field goal.
Yeah. So now I think you add touchdowns to that. There's a difference in the record, even from last year. So this is going to be a tough team to beat. And I think a lot of teams in the league know that and they understand that. You can criticize Aaron Rodgers. You can criticize him as much as you want. He's old, he's this and that. People are going to have to prepare for the New York Jets.
Yeah. So there was this BS story in The Athletic. I don't know if you saw this, saying that the Jets, it's still an agent came out and said that the Jets are still being run like a clown show. He's running the show. I talked to Connor Hughes. I talked to Antoine Staley. Exactly. That's my point. Yes, Bilal. I love it. Yeah, that's my point. Maybe I said, you know what I said on Twitter? I said maybe his client is Hassan Reddick, who still thinks he's going to get a contract from this team. You know what I mean? Like,
and this guy. The thing. I haven't listened. He does not affect the defense. Like, if you hear, you give us a better chance to win. But if you're not, we're still the top defense in the country, in the league.
Exactly.
Like, there's no distraction, and I hope those guys in the locker room are not seeing this as a distraction. Like,
they
at
said
this
all the right
point,
things.
It's like, hey, just stay where you are right now because we got this thing built, and I believe in those guys, Quinnen and Quincy, and
you want to be a part of this, come over here.
Yeah, all those Gartner. If you want to be a part of it, be a part of it. But they've already created that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like this has become that old school Rex Ryan. When you play the New York Jets, you know you're gonna get the tough defense. Like we got that without Riddick. Okay, now come join us and help us win. But there's no distraction. Previous years, a guy like that caliber, that free agent, that distracts the defense. Like, oh man, we really need him. But like, nah.
Yeah,
we really don't need you, but we can use you.
Yeah,
is the culture and the mindset that the New York Jets have right now.
And my guy Antoine Staley said on the show, he's like, or he said to me on text, and we'll have him on the show next week. He's like, I've been in the locker room. The locker room is great. The vibes are awesome around the team. Don't believe what one disgruntled agent is saying.
Yeah, I'm sure something's going on. We'll see.
All right, last thing before we go, 2 things. One, there's still a freaking painting behind me. I hope you noticed that. Yeah. I see jerseys behind you. There's a painting behind me.
That's the big one. Right there.
You know why that's LT. You know why there's jerseys behind you and not behind me, right?
Why?
Because you didn't send them.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
That's on you, dude.
I'll send them. My bad.
You got to send the jersey. Yeah. I need them before football. Look, I'm wearing a football guy sweatshirt.
I'll do it today. I'll put them on in the mail today.
I need them for Monday. Next Monday in San Francisco. What do you think I'm going to be wearing?
Are you going to the game?
No, I'm not going to the game. But if we're together in Tennessee, what am I supposed to wear?
Okay, I got you.
I gotta wear a BP jersey.
I got you, and it's gonna be authentic too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll send it.
Yeah, put it in your notes. Last thing, I don't want to bring this down because I know we're having fun, but it was posted online and you posted this. I loved it when you talked about some of the stuff you went through when you first got out of football, mental health stuff with, struggling with depression and anxiety, stuff like that. I think it's stuff that everyone can relate to. I think it's awesome that you came out and talked about it, because I think more people do need to be aware of it. So if you want to share something just real quick, what your story was for our listeners, I think people would love to hear that. Again, no pressure, but if you
Oh
want
no,
to.
no, man. I'm happy to, relive that because I know it's
Yeah.
gonna help someone. But I was at a low time in my life, and thank God I had, important people that loved me through the low times, and they never gave up on me. And I'm blessed to still be here. But I think a lot of people are aware of mental health. I think they're just afraid to speak out on it. They think it's some type of weakness. But mental health does not discriminate. And if you don't get it handled, it sometimes can take your life. It can take your life or someone that you love. So, I just want to bring that awareness. I want to break the stigma of NFL players being tough and mentally strong. A lot of us aren't, man. Like we go through a lot of things because everyone's human. Everyone deals with certain situations and circumstances. And I've been a part of a league of a fraternity of brothers, very small, and you hear the suicide and the murder suicide between guys that you played with, and it's usually the guy that you never expect to do it. So that's one of the biggest things. I started my nonprofit, and
Yep.
we
Tell
want to
us about
bring.
that.
Yeah,
Everyone
so
should go follow 29th and 9th Foundation on Instagram.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So it's just pretty much bridging that breaking that stigma between athletes and mental health, and we're trying to focus on the youth because what I realized or noticed in my life is most of the things that we deal with now as adults it's like a rollover from childhood. So I want to bring that awareness. I want to teach kids the things that I never knew about mental health. Bring that awareness so that they can help them in their future to come.
Yeah, man. I can relate to that. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm in my late 20s now, I guess. Still, I try and say mid, but kind of getting to the late 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out the whole adult life thing, working on it. So, some days are better than others, especially in this industry where it can be such a roller coaster at times. So I appreciate, the work that you're doing. And I'm sure everyone does. So, man, this was fun. We're going to do this more often during football season, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're gonna do it, man.
Yeah, maybe we'll do Fridays in general. Fridays work for you, or we'll find a day that works for both of us. Thursdays, Fridays, whatever it is, to rock out. Good luck. You got a game tonight, right?
Yeah, we got a game. Yeah, it's
All
good.
right,
It's
go
a good
kick some
opponent.
ass
So
again. Yeah.
we'll try to put up 60 again. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right, dude. Love you, brother. We'll talk to you soon, right?
Yep. I'll see you, man.
See ya.